Yes.
Yeah. So, how much fun do you have with DoorDash?
Oh, it's a blast. I love answering people when I'm, all in costume. And because I've done some other looks over the past year. So I remember answering around Halloween, I did a werewolf look. And,
Awesome.
I ordered DoorDash and answered the door like, "Wah!" And the guy just like fell over laughing.
That's amazing. That's fucking
I
amazing.
love this so much.
So good.
I love bringing people together. This is YKF Sunday Sessions with Nicco Noire and Nick. Your kinky friends. I'm Nicholas Tanek. We have the real Nicco Noire, and we have the
Hello.
magnificent Amy Mercury here.
Hi.
Before we begin, I just want to say everything we talk about is consensual. We're adults. We're adults, and we're consensual. Don't shame. Seriously, that's why.
That's not what we're here for.
No.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's why you're sad and lonely. Don't shame.
Too much
Tonight's
shame.
episode, we're going to talk about how do you protect yourself in the kink community, and Amy's here to protect us. So this conversation.
Well,
Yes.
I was gonna say you just bring your attack gorilla. You sick your gorilla on him.
You're a maniacal monkey here to just destroy
You
everything.
maniacal monkey. I love that. So, how long have you been doing this cosplay for? What are okay, let's I want to say let's start from the beginning, but yeah.
Oh,
Like
sure.
what? Yeah.
Well, let's see. Like this cosplay is actually my newest one. I intend on wearing it for an event in a couple of weeks called Fetish Con that's going on in St. Pete, Florida. Great event. It's both a lifestyle and an industry event. So you got, people there who are lifestyle kinksters and people who film fetish videos, and I fall into both categories. And
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
do. I've started doing like a look every year for it. Last year I was Beast from X-Men.
Okay.
And the year before that I was She-Hulk. We do on the stage. There's an event called the Superhero and Showdown, where you get all
Okay.
these fetish models dressed as heroes and villains from comics and movies, and they battle it out on stage.
I want to do it so bad.
It's a blast.
How do I get involved?
Go to fetishcon.com.
Fetishcon.com. Here I come. Here I come.
It is a great event. I was telling Nick about it earlier.
We were talking about creating a new kind of play called monster porn. And I know that you get some subs who want like to be impregnated by like aliens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think with your imagination and both of your imaginations together, how can we create monster
play?
Well, I'm down for monster porn, monster play, monster anything. I'm 100% for any kind of play where it requires you to go into like full make-believe mode and take on a completely different persona. I'm here for it. Like I'm completely here for it. I'm surprised that I haven't gotten into cosplay. Like all of my best friends are like way into cosplay. One of my very best friends, Brad Allen, he's a hardcore cosplayer. I mean, he like makes all of his stuff, and but he was given the natural ability to be a ridiculous artist. I, on the other hand, I can barely glue paper together. So, where did you learn how to do this?
Well, I actually started just by watching YouTube videos.
Really?
I went to school for clothing design, so like I already knew how to like sew. But as far as like doing the creature effects, I didn't really know how to do that until about a year or so ago when I did the Beast from X-Men. Because I knew if I was going to do a look like that, that's an extreme look. I said, I got to do it right or it's going to look terrible. So I was like, I'm going to go all out. I made like a prosthetic eyebrow piece that's kind of like this one that jut out. And I did the full blue makeup, and it went over really well. And then after that, since then I've been taking classes at the Stan Winston School online. And it's a school for how you learn to do creature effects, basically.
That's awesome. You look fucking amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Like, so how long does that take you?
It's about a 3-hour process. From just
well, gosh, that's how long this takes.
Hey, see, you get it.
So
That's amazing.
The subject of the show, right? The subject of the show is, safe, being safe in the kink community.
Yeah.
There are people, catfishing, but there are people literally, you meet people in person, and they can be dangerous. So I want to kind of spread the word out, or to give some education out in a cool, kind way, about how we can keep ourselves safe. And it all starts usually from online conversations and interactions.
Absolutely.
So how do we know if someone we should not interact with?
I guess getting references. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I would say I think getting references is a good start. If there's people that know this person, you should talk to them and get a feel for it. Now, that being said, every person you interact with is going to be different, but I think that's a good place to start.
Yep. I'm going to agree with that. I'm also going to add, like, if you're going to say you're coming to me, I'm a pro dom, right? So I require a first and last name, and I require a birth date. Now, a lot of people kind of scoff at that. Why do you want all this information? What are you going to do with this information? Well, I work out of my house. I have my studio is in my home. I want to know who's coming into my home. So if you can't give me the most basic fucking information as your first and last name and a birth date, then we have bigger problems here. And the reason I ask for this information, if anyone is curious, is I do personally run a violent criminal offender check before I see somebody. If you've been arrested for a domestic violence, if you've been arrested for sexual assault, whatever, I don't see you. So that's what I do with your information. I don't use it to blackmail you. I don't use it to contact people. I don't fucking care. You're not that important.
Right. So it's something about sex workers. We understand discretion probably more than anyone. So we
have to.
Yeah. And so it's not just to protect us. Sometimes it's to protect them too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And discretion is the number one name of the game. And if you're not vetting your clients and if they can't give you that sort of basic information, then there's generally a reason. And if they give you false information, because that happens all the time too. Oh, well, my name is, John Smith. Okay, John Smith. Perfect. Well, the next thing I ask is, if I can't find John Smith, obviously, I ask for, half of the tribute up front. Straight up. And I let people know, when you're coming to my premises, you're going to be on camera from the moment you walk in till the moment you leave. So unless you really want to fuck around, you're going to find out. Like, I don't know how else to, I feel like my security cameras have been the best defense against, people who think they're going to be bigger than me, which is ridiculous.
Right. That's very valuable, though. It's security cameras, they help.
It's
a bit. Amy, you make online content, right? And so these are people, they see where you are, or they see, you could hide it and everything like that, but of course they find people, or so you have to take precautions. Obviously, you have to make sure you don't want people showing up at your set, right? So how do you do that? And what are because there are a lot of content creators out there who are, who are dealing with this. How do we protect them?
It's hard to not. There's some people out there that are just that savvy that they can find you no matter what you do. I think the best thing, though, is if, have for your business a private box somewhere. Maybe not necessarily a PO box, but like if you've got, like I have like a third party kind of like mailbox, and I put that address, even though, like, for example, on my Amazon wish list, you can block out the address so they don't see it, but it still goes to that address,
right?
An address that isn't my house.
Right.
So that helps, for example, if you need to get any mail for whatever reason, making sure that when you do film that there is nothing that they can really pick out in the background where they can find you. No street signs, no numbers on the door. Like there was one video I did years ago and I panned around and I'm like, oh no, I can see my house number. So I had to go through in Premiere Pro and like blur that out. So they
And what a
couldn't
pain
do
in
it.
the ass to go back and edit all that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there's things like that you got to do. Or I
Yeah.
make sure that if I'm somewhere and that if there's any sort of identifying marker, I blur it out, or I just try not to
Yeah.
shoot direction.
Right. Right. Yeah. Have
What
you ever
about
been
you,
in a
Nico?
situation? Well, so okay, so I work from my house, and
Mhm.
so that means when clients come to see me, I'm giving them my personal address. Um, I make it very clear when people come to the door, they're on camera from the second that they drive into my driveway, from enter my
Mhm.
house. The only cameras I don't, the only cameras, I'm sorry, the only rooms in my entire house that I don't have a camera in is the bathroom.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that sounds kind of strange, but doing what I do, and I'm a woman, I work alone. I don't have, I guess a bouncer, so to speak.
Right.
So how do I protect myself? I'm watching you walk up to my door on my camera. I'm seeing who's coming into my door. Are you bringing anything? Did you put stuff? I'm watching you in your car. I'm that creepy bitch. Like, I'm doing that
I get
because
it.
you're coming into my house, and obviously we're going to talk. And if a client, comes in and they've got a creepy vibe, they've got, if I get the heebie-jeebies, like, it's it's America. I have the right to refuse service.
Right. Right.
So I think that's also something too. Just because somebody has, given you a deposit, or whatever the situation, you do not have
Mhm.
to session with somebody if they're putting off, psycho
Get your-
vibes.
Right. I
So,
think.
okay, let's, right. We both have imagination. Let's build an ultimate dungeon that's protected.
Hmm.
So what, do we have like live gorillas like in a moat, right? A dragon would be great.
Right.
Right. So
I could get on. I
like,
could get on board with a dragon. I want like a Spirited Away dragon, like a water dragon that lives like in the moat, that just comes
out.
up and it's like, ah, it's like, surprise, I'm in the water, motherfucker. Like, that's what I want.
That would be
Like,
brilliant. I like this. Your
so
bouncers.
so I'm curious. This is what I want to know. So when you started doing your cosplay, now you're doing fetish and cosplay together. Obviously, that's a thing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you're you're an attractive, beautiful woman.
Thank you.
What in the world made you want to be a gorilla? Because of all the things that you could be, right? I mean, you could be all the stuff and things, and you're like, nah, fuck all that noise. I'm going gorilla.
I'm gonna be
Like, and
Mojo
I
Jojo.
respect, I dig that about you.
Well, thank you.
Honestly,
I mean, I just the character I'm cosplaying is Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls. He was
sure.
the
Mojo
maniacal
Jojo.
villain. Yeah, Mojo Jojo. Yeah, he was like with his very intense accent, and all that. He was so dramatic.
Yes.
Oh, I just love the character. But in general, when it comes to because I've done a lot of like monster, like kind of hideous, creature. Well, I don't like the
Sure.
word grotesque. I guess it's funny because my love of monsters kind of goes into my transformation fetish, turning into something
Okay.
else. For a lot of people who have a transformation fetish, they like things that are going to take away their power, to make them powerless, like getting turned into a doll or like a table or something, an inanimate
Sure.
object. Whereas me, the things I like to turn into are things that give me power. And I didn't realize that until somebody else I was playing with once pointed it out to me, because I was like, well, I like to be She-Hulk, I like to be an orc, I like to be a werewolf. And he's like, you like to
Powerful,
cosplay
yeah.
things, that you like to turn into things powerful. I'm like, huh. And I mean, sure,
Now, when you
Mojo,
play, are you the power? Are you the top? Are you the PowerPoint?
it's really fun. Funny. I guess when I, am in this kind of space, I guess I kind of feel more dominant.
You are Mojo Jojo.
Yes. And he got his ass beat by the Powerpuff Girls like on a daily basis, but you can't say he wasn't powerful and dramatic.
Well, I mean, it's hard to compete with three little girls that were made in a laboratory by a single man in a one-roomed house.
When you really think about that, it's like, oh, it was
Yeah,
the
no,
90s was an innocent time.
yeah, was it?
Maybe not.
Was it?
But we
Look at
didn't
us
question
now.
it.
I mean, really, look at us now. We are some of the
Fair.
most
Fair.
like I mean, we're next level human beings, no doubt about it. Like,
Fair. Well, but we didn't question it in 1998, right? We didn't like, okay, this is
we
just
didn't
a
know
guy who's
better.
hanging around his laboratory making little girls.
Children, little girls
okay.
that
Great.
yeah.
Awkward.
That fight monkeys
All
and the
right.
devil, which by the way, I love him.
Oh yeah.
That's who you should be next.
That would be fun to be him.
If
Oh,
you do that, then I will do like every Powerpuff Girl. I wish I could be 3 people at once.
cool.
I say that so many. If I had a nickel for every time I say that like daily, that I would be retired. If I could just be a fucking Shiva.
Right. If only that is one thing working in sex work. Gosh, we work a lot.
God,
like, can't I just divide myself into 2 more people? I could get so much more done.
If I had 2 more arms,
yeah, like
Jesus
I would be.
Christ.
I would be just like
I'd
a
be
brilliant multitasker.
right. I'd be even more dangerous. Another thing about protecting yourself. If you are a submissive, you're a client, whatever, if you're some, knucklehead who thinks you're going to come in and you're going to boss around a pro dom, like, first of all, let me just open with this. You are the stupidest individual I've ever met in my entire life. So you are literally inviting yourself into a place of pain with a woman who is a professional procurer of fucking pain. Like, what are you thinking?
Why would you?
What are
think
you thinking?
Hard?
If you think, and if you just think that you're gonna like overpower me, no, you're not. No, you're not.
I just
No,
don't
you're not.
understand. Like, I see a woman, a beautiful woman with a whip or like a paddle or something like that. The first thing in my mind is like, yeah, I want to piss that person off. It's not.
Yeah, right. I mean, that sounds like a good idea.
It's like on a scale of 1 to invade Russia in winter. How good of an idea was your plan?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Worst idea ever. Worst idea ever.
All right. So what about when you meet somebody, right? It's the first time in person. First time, whether it's a client or a date or just a kinky person, just kinky people, because people, we have to be on our guard. You meet someone at a munch or something like that. So what are some steps that you take when you meet somebody in a kinky person in person to kind of protect yourself that you feel is either reasonable or even unreasonable?
Okay, so I'll say the creepy thing. I Google people. I totally Google people. I mean, aside from the fact that I actually pay for a service so that I can Google people or that I can put people's information in and like get information back, I'm not using that for this. I'm checking their FetLife page. Is this picture the same person as the person I'm talking to? I check their social media. Those sorts of things, just like do your basic investigating of a person because you don't know. For instance, I have a bunch of catfish. I don't blame them for wanting to be me either. However, they are fucking not. So, if you think you're talking to somebody and you're not sure, it's really simple to say, hey, can you write my name on a piece of paper and send me a selfie with it? Just so I know it's you. And if they won't do that, I guarantee you it's not them, or it's not me, or it's not, or it's not Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, and they're getting more clever with that. I had someone, I was talking to someone like on Facebook Messenger, and this is in my personal life. This isn't even anything to do with kink. And a relative of mine messaged me, say, hey, can I borrow some money? And I was like, yeah, what's going on? And, I was like, well, maybe what's going on? And then she turned the video camera on, and it was her, but there was no sound. And so it was only on for a split second. And I hung up. I'm like, hey, I saw your video, but I can't hear. She goes, oh, yeah, the sound's not working. And she goes, well, here, if you, please send me money via PayPal. Here's my email address. I'm like, that email address does not look like anything that this person would have. So I did the whole question of, okay, but before I go forward, just for the sake of, identity verification, how do I know you?
Right.
Zero answer.
How do I?
Nothing.
There's nothing. Yeah, crickets. And that's brilliant because it's a way to ask somebody prove prove it. Prove you are who you say you are without saying prove it.
You
How
are.
do you how do we know each other again? How did
Yeah.
we meet? How do I know you?
Uh-huh.
And if they don't know how they know you, because generally you know how you met someone,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I love that. I think that's excellent. I'll do that from here on out.
But the
I
whole
have a
thing in
Know each
the
question.
other.
video that freaked me out though, because I'm just like,
Yeah,
Well,
that's scary.
that's really scary.
yeah, like that's
Yeah.
because yeah, that seems like really legit, right? You're like, oh,
Right.
but there was no sound, so they just stole a bit, I guess, from where she had used
Sure.
video chat, and then deleted the sound and just
Or
popped
went
it
onto
up.
Facebook and took some sort of little chunk of live reel or whatever. And that's what I'm saying is you know, Nick and I were talking earlier today, and we were talking about the show, and he's like, "Get your guns," because I live in Texas. I'm heavily armed,
Mhm.
and
I was joking.
I'm like, it's not that I have a problem, you know, being, a, a woman with weaponry, but I don't know if I want the image of myself, holding my guns out
Right.
into the world because I mean, I've had my image come back to me in so many different ways that it is shocking. So I
Mhm.
can only imagine what fucking heyday someone would have with that image. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just don't know
So
what people are going to use it for, and it's
I that is incredibly invasive and just wow. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about weapons. First of all, right? Amy, what weapon would JoJo use?
let's say probably like some like ray gun or
Hmm.
there was an episode where literally he had a ray that turned everybody into dogs on the planet. uh,
Or
he does
let's
all these
see,
like hmm?
what if JoJo's like going to a like an event, like going to Fetish Con? Like the
uh,
real JoJo's going to Fetish Con. He wants to mess things up. What weapons?
would he bring?
Giant banana shaped dildo guns, probably. I could
Or
see
a
it. Could you see
whip?
it? Like a big, like
Yeah.
giant, like banana dildo ray, and it's like turns everyone into like, oh. And then if you had like other like cosplayers that were doing the Powerpuff Girls, then
Mhm.
that could be like a whole thing.
Yeah, there you go.
That could be. See, there's
Hey, there you go.
that's
That's
a
it.
movie.
And I
Have you
would
made
like to
that
say,
movie yet? Because I'll buy that
no,
movie.
I would like to say no one do anything bad to any convention or ever like pretending you're you're JoJo or anything like that.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
strictly
I mean, unless you
fantasy. This
actually
podcast,
do
give me a
make
break.
a giant banana penis ray gun, in which case we want to see it.
Yes, I would. I would totally be
We
on
want to
that.
see it.
I'm
Don't do
currently
bad
making
stuff.
like
Just
And
I'm
that
currently
goes to
actually
my
making a
next
blaster.
question.
Oh, sorry.
What is the best sex toy dungeon tool to use in self defense?
Hmm. Good question. Ah,
oh.
well, I guess any blunt
I
object.
drove.
I'm like
I
looking around.
drove.
I'm like, I, I know what I would
I
use, but
drove
I
to
don't know
Kentucky
if
once.
YouTube would
Right.
let me show you what I would use. I have a giant like 10 pound, like some people have an 8 pound hammer. I have a 10 pound dick that I would just beat someone to death with. I think I do, and I would.
I mean, anything can be a weapon if you're creative enough, right?
Yeah,
Amen to
pervertibles.
that.
Pervertibles, is
Yeah,
that what you said?
Yeah, pervertible weapons.
That's great.
But I was about to say I went to Kentucky to I was doing a tour to promote some of the books, and we stopped at this sex shop, and the guy behind the counter had this huge fisting dildo, and I've seen fisting dildos before. I've been to sex shops. I've seen but this thing was like awe-inspiring. I've never seen it, and he like has it, and I'm like, why do you hold it all the time? It's big too. He's like, oh, because they're shoplifters. And he goes,
Mm,
I have beaten the shit out of people with this thing so much.
wow.
It's yeah. So I find that kind of funny. Oh.
Hmm,
Uh-oh.
mm.
Nico's getting some.
there's always the Keebler gnome. The Keebler gnome goes where no gnome is gnomed before. And I would not hesitate to incapacitate somebody with my butt gnome.
That is brilliant. I love that.
I've named him Keebler.
Keebler, yep.
I think Sunshine bought like some kind of gnome for Shari for the manor. So that reminds me, I find my gnome that we're gonna bring over to the manor. What about physical safety?
I don't think I can show my other stuff on YouTube, but I have some pretty funny dildos. Like funny dildos. Dildos that you shouldn't really fuck people with, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you describe them to her?
But you know, it's you have to like what you do, right? So I like it when my penis looks like, you know, I mean, I've got a bunch of different kinds of things, but my favorite right now is my former President Trump dildo. That's always fun. I also have a Biden dildo. I'm not. Don't worry, I don't pick sides. It just depends on my mood that day.
It takes the phrase "getting fucked over by the government" a very different meaning.
You have no idea. You have no idea. And just so you know, in my studio, Biden is no slouch. Just gonna throw that out there.
Wait,
he gets in.
I gotta go there. Nico, do you fuck Trumpers? Do you fuck like MAGA heads with Biden dildos?
Honestly, I try not to ever talk politics with anyone ever because it is just a fucking nightmare. But here's the thing. I want to entertain myself more than anything. That's really where my main priority is. And so if it so pleases me, I will fuck people with all kind. I have no tact. Zero.
Okay, so Stan Vladimir, someone called the Powder Puff Girls. He used the flypaper ones to capture the Powder Puff Girls.
Yeah, he did do that. I remember. A taser. You said a taser. Bring that to the con.
I spent
Do not bring anything like that to any convention.
No.
Right? We need people. We need positive, kinky people. You know, spreading love in every event.
Don't bring a taser, bring a vibrator or something to the you know what I mean? Like I mean, it's just as shocking.
Remember, we're good people. Remember that.
If you want an electrical toy to bring to the event, you should bring a violet wand.
Yeah. There you go.
That's what Mojo would bring, is a violet wand.
That is exact. You know what? You've become one. You've become one. You are the Mojo Jojo.
I will take over the world with a violet wand.
So what about physical safety measures that you take? Some of these people, you know, that you may encounter, are much bigger than you, weight-wise, height-wise, you know, even number-wise, like they could have friends and stuff like that. Sure. I'm talking either a stalker or just a bad client or just anybody. How do you deal? What are the physical safety measures?
Do you want to go ahead?
Let's see. No, I actually, you go ahead. I'm not exactly sure how to answer just yet.
Well, okay. So I've been a pro dom for 20 years. I've had a lot of really, I've had some scary experiences. I was taken hostage by a crazy person with a machete once in a car.
Oh God.
I had someone come and stalk my house for 3 days. So I've had some pretty scary encounters. I've had husbands who have left their wives and thinking they're going to come and live with me, and then their wives are there. Like I've had some kind of weird stuff happen in the past. So what I have done for myself, I've taken several female self-defense classes. I feel pretty confident. I mean, I'm not any, martial artist or anything like that, but I feel fairly certain that I could take out a 6'5" man in like 3 moves. That said, I also live in Texas and I am heavily armed. So if someone's going to fuck around with me, they are 100% going to find out. I carry a gun in my purse. I carry a gun in my car. I carry a gun in my house. so those are the measures I've taken for myself. Now, like other girls, I don't know. I know some girls that have, they will pay friends that are like, big 7 foot tall, 350 pound just bruisers to just come and sit with them for an hour while they do a session when they're with a client that they've never been with before. And I'm not mad at that at all. That's money well spent as far as I'm concerned, because you don't know who you're going to see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a bouncer.
Yep.
I think those are all really good ideas.
So what
Yep.
about close calls? There was a time where, I love getting new guests. And there was a time where someone tried to lure me into a house that was near my house, near where I lived. And I was like, I think I know enough people in the kink community to kind of know what something's real or not. And I didn't go through with it. No one knew about it. And I kind of never found out if but I trusted my gut. And I think that's the main thing. You got to go with your gut. So were there any close calls, or maybe you don't know what happened, but maybe you felt it? Tell us about some close calls either you had.
I've had a lot of close calls, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't know, I don't know if they've necessarily been close calls, but I've been in the middle of sessions with a client, and they've said some kind of really just off comments or remark or something to me that was just so off-putting or so left of center. And listen, if you're going to like say something to me that is literally like stops me in my tracks, like you said something fucking really extra. I mean, I'm talking muy caliente, like wow, because I mean, I will give you an award for offending me. So I've had it happen twice in like my whole career where someone has said something so just incredible that I just stopped what I was doing and said, you need to get your shit, put it all in a box and get the fuck on, because I'm done with you now. And I don't know if I would necessarily call that a close call, but I did what you said, Nick, and I followed my gut, just because that, whatever transpired there was just so, I mean, I make manginas. What could they have possibly have said? Exactly. So it's like that.
Gotcha.
I just,
Oh, and just out of curiosity, before I ask Amy that same question, when was the last time you made a mangina?
2 weeks ago,
Do you like name them?
it was beautiful.
Really?
I put glitter on it. Dusted it with glitter. I wanted that pussy pretty, man. You're gonna have a pussy. I mean, let it sparkle.
That's great.
That's what I think.
Mangina. Okay. What about you, Amy? Have you had in this, even with as a content creator, phone sex, pep love, and just doing all that, I'm sure you've dealt with some people that, your gut told you no. Anything like that? Any close calls?
I've had situations that have gotten really awkward on the phone before, where people want to take the call in places that I'm like, that's a limit for me. And at least, when I'm on like a call, for example, I can usually redirect. And that is the one benefit of it not being in person, is that I can sometimes get the person into a different conversation entirely. But every now and then I have somebody who bites down like a pit bull and they won't let go. And you're like, okay, apparently we're going to this really awful place in this call, and I'm just going to have to suffer through it. But, I think at least in my case, I know that it's like, well, this is fantasy. This isn't real.
Right.
I've had, when I used to do webcam work, I'd had close calls where maybe I might have thought I released some personal information by accident, just in conversation. Like I've seen girls like that'll be like on webcam and they'll like call for a pizza and like, oh yeah, my address is blah blah blah. Like, oh my god, get off cam, get off cam.
What are you doing? Right.
And you just don't, you're in the moment, you don't think. And that's the stuff that happens.
Well, So this, I mean, not that this has anything to do with what I do now, but this story is very very much on the point. So me and one of my best girlfriends from high school, we had gone to go pick up her friend or her brother actually from the airport. We were 16, by the way, and so we're at the airport. This and at Dallas International, and we get behind this bus, and this. All right, so folks, listen, this was the 90s. Just go with me here. So we're 16. We get behind this bus of Chinese tourists, like a big, China, da, 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 da. And they're there with their cameras. And I'm not kidding you. Like, I hate to be the stereotype person, but they were doing it out the windows, taking pictures. And so I look at Kate and I'm like, well, if like, let's welcome them to America properly. So of course, she and I are like, we just pull our tops up and we're just like titties everywhere. And we're like, what? It's great here. Here's some big, da, 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 da. And so anyhow, about 3 months later, I get a phone call from my girlfriend Kate, and she goes, "You are never going to fucking believe what I just got." And I'm like, "What did you just get?" And she goes, "So I opened the mailbox today, and I got a picture from China in the mail because somebody had taken her license plate." And this is when the internet just started, people.
Okay.
So, like, they'd taken a picture of her driver's license, or of her, her license plate, and they traced it back to her house and sent her a picture of me and her flashing the camera and with the little note that said, "Thanks for all the happy memories, from America, love China." But this was in like the early, this was in like the mid 90s before anybody knew how to do fuck all, nothing, shit, anything with the internet.
People
so imagine what they know what to do now. That picture still sits on her refrigerator to this day. He looked amazing.
Kate West, I presume.
Yes.
Kate West. Oh, shout out to Kate West. I hope she's doing well.
Yes, Miss Kate West. We miss you. We love you, girl.
So, what about some hard lessons? Any hard lessons you've learned? Maybe you learned them, but it happened to somebody else, and you're like, "I'll never do that."
Oh yeah. About taking the money up front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people have problems with deposits. Oh, well, I don't do deposits. Well, that's fine. I don't work with people who don't give deposits. Why? Because my time is valuable. I've got better shit to do than steal $100 from you. Like, I just do. I'm sorry. I've spent too much time building Nicco Noire as a reputable dominatrix to steal $100. Like, it's petty. But I guess it happens quite a bit. So doms that are doing that, fucking stop. You suck.
Yeah, like,
don't do that. You make sex workers look like assholes and thieves, and we're not. We're just regular people. You literally are making your own kind look bad. Don't do that.
And it's hurting the whole industry, and whether they realize it or not, it's going to come back, because that person's never going to book with them again, obviously. And then they're not going to book with anybody else. So then that's a client that might have spent money on multiple sex workers
or tons of money on just you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't behoove anybody to lie, cheat, and steal in this scene, because it is such a small knit community, and we are kinky friends. We do know each other. If you think for 1 second that I don't know a dom in every state of this country, you're crazy. I do. So it's like.
And I know a few
it doesn't take much to get around.
And I know a few people.
We're going to do the Kinky Caravan.
Yes, Kinky Caravan. Still making phone calls.
We could have a Mojo Jojo.
Wow. Yes.
Get the cape, the whole, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Actually, yeah. I don't have it on right now, but I have it.
I love it. I love it.
So, how do you maintain this feeling? Because Amy, you were talking about how you play the mommy dom role quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a lot of that deals with not just discipline being strict, but the safety, having them feel a sense of comfort, a deep sense of comfort. You know what I mean? So how if you have to feel safe in order for them to feel safe, right? So how do
Yes.
you maintain this feeling? It's one thing to set it up, to like set the perimeter and to get your mind right and everything like that, but how do you maintain this safety for not only you and the person you're talking with? Or you
I think it's making your limitations known. Like, and sometimes you don't know something's a limit until until it happens, and you're like, "Oh, nope, nope, I'm not
Yes.
into that. I'm never going to do it again." But it's okay in the heat of the moment to be like, "You know what? I don't really like where this is going. Let's see if we could meet
100%.
halfway." So as far as like helping myself feel safe is remembering that ultimately I do hold the power in this situation, that I can end the scene if I need to. That
Right.
if it really gets bad, that I can be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore, and I can hang up, or I can
Right.
redirect. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I still hold the power, and I don't have to tolerate mistreatment if I don't want to deal with it.
Right. Right. 100. Yeah. And I think just controlling the narrative of that situation is that in and of itself is going to probably just negate any sort of, controlling the narrative. I mean, it's hard to lose control of the scene, the situation, and if it should veer off into a place that it's choppy or you're uncomfortable in, or you're not quite sure about, then using your words, and I think it all comes back around to consent and what you are comfortable with. Don't ever do something, and it doesn't matter how big or how small it is. If someone is asking you to engage in something that you just aren't comfortable with, or you aren't really willing to try or don't want to try, but you'll do it for your partner, don't do this. That's not consent. That is a form of guilt and manipulation that is not okay. Like, you need to be aware of what you're doing, and you need to be 100% aware of what you are and are not consenting to, because you get a dom like me, I will pick, I will pick it apart, because that's what I do. I'm nasty like that. I will count all of the chickens before they hatch, then smash them on the fucking floor. Like, that's who I am.
Well done.
So
that's why I love that Nico's on my side. You know, you want Nicco Noire on your side.
Yes.
I am
it's
so
for everyone's
thankful you're in my
benefit.
life, Nicco. Michael Goldsmith has a question for Mojo Jojo. How do you maintain feeling safe when the Powder Puff Girls are constantly thwarting your plans?
Well, that is because I,
World's hard.
Mojo Jojo, am a simian of superior intelligence, meaning that I am the smartest villain in all of Townsville, meaning that there are not one smarter than Mojo, and therefore I will always come up with a plan to defeat the Powerpuff Girls every time.
That's fucking it. I'm gonna cosplay him.
Yes, I would so be into that.
It's done. It's done, and it's done. We're doing
Do
this,
it.
and then I'm gonna wherever you're at, and we're doing it, and then we're gonna make a movie.
I'm so into
Can we
it.
do
All
that?
right.
Can we do
Final
that?
question. Final question about
Let's do
protecting
this.
ourselves is emotionally. How do we seriously? So the kink world is beautiful, seriously, and I love it. I see the beauty in everyone, but of course there are some jerks who come to the party. You know what I mean? It happens to everybody. So sometimes you got to emotionally protect yourself. How do you do it?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I think just you have to use your words. You have to communicate with people. If you don't communicate with people, people aren't mind readers. They don't know. Same thing with assholes and people who are, belligerently jerks. They don't know that they're like that. They just are.
Right.
So you have to take that into consideration as well. And if somebody is, coming up to you, approaching you, trying to whatever in any way, shape, or form, let someone else know. If you're at a public play party, or if you're in a public space, let someone else know. Say, hey, this guy's, they're driving me crazy. If you're alone, I mean, there's, I don't know if you would want my advice. Because my advice is to go crazy. Like I have no, I
Yeah.
don't,
Okay.
I have no problem like losing my mind. Like I will make a scene. I mean, I'm naked on the internet. What am I afraid of? Not making a fucking
Fair.
scene.
That is,
You know,
I mean, it is that sort of like you, it's like, what are people going to do to me? It's like, oh, we'll expose your nudes. I'm like, too late. I already did that. What do I
right.
have
I
to,
did that for you.
it's like,
You know,
keep trying,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Yeah.
It comes down to shame a lot. And that's what this book, The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself, is very much a confession of that, is me coming out as a kinky person
yeah.
in many ways.
Mhm.
And, about past drug addiction, about, depression, and all that stuff. So that's what I
Real
think.
shit.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ultimately, it's about being honest with yourself, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
We're down and we understand we love we love ourselves, we can love other people. Oh, I love
I
bringing
love
people
Mojo
together.
Jojo.
Oh, this is so good. Oh my God, this is going to be a
Moto
great week.
loves you.
So please, how can people get in touch with, let's start with Amy Mercury. How can people
Yes.
get in touch with you? Oh, wait, we have some questions. We have some more
Oh,
questions before we get to if you don't mind.
oh, sure.
If you don't mind, Stan Vladimir. Now AI is the next thing or that people will abuse to imitate, order people. So in other words, how do we protect ourselves from AI?
That is the
That's a
question.
good question. Yeah. I think just being more skeptical, like don't ever take anything you see at face value.
Yeah.
Because like I saw, yeah, and this is a fairly harmless thing, but a friend of mine on Facebook posted a picture of these multicolored roses saying, oh, these are some special variety. And there was this whole post about it. And I'm like, and I looked a little closer. I'm like, that's AI. Roses
Right.
don't come in that color. And I
That's
actually, did a
crazy.
little digging and it was, but this person actually believed it for a second. And, it's a shame, but I think we're just going to have to be that much more critical of everything we see.
Crazy vigilant. Yeah, I don't know what kind of like face recognition or, well, I mean, actually I do because didn't somebody, where did I read somewhere that Blackstone just bought like all of the 23andMe, all of the DNA
Whoa.
registries. So in the next like 2 years, they'll basically have all of the DNA on file of everyone who's ever used those services.
Yowza.
So
Uh, yikes.
And here's the thing. Again, I don't care. My DNA's all over the place. But I'm
Well,
just saying,
for other people that might be problematic.
those are the things that we didn't think about.
No.
It's the hindsight that's 2020 and we're in 2024. We're all fucked up.
Yep. Things are going to be interesting in the coming years.
Aren't they though?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if there are coming years, let's hope there are. I
Yeah,
hope
well,
there is.
There are many, many, many.
that is all right. When
They're just
I
gonna be
take over the
really, really
world,
weird.
then I will do away with AI.
I love it.
Amy, how can people get in touch with you and please support? Let's promote everything you do, including your graphic novel, Orc Girl. Tell Nicco about your Orc Girl.
Oh, let's see. Yes, I have a comic that I work on. It's a kind of a kinky fantasy story called Orc Girl, and it's about this girl from the modern world who goes to a fantasy world and becomes the pet of an orc king.
Oh, yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful, and the illustration is amazing.
Thank you.
Magnificently impressive.
Are you publishing?
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
it's online. I get it printed, but it's
Where can we see it? Where can we look at it? Where is this?
Orcgirl.com.
Orcgirl.com.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to go to orcgirl.com and get yourself a copy, and then that's what needs to happen right this immediately. I'm doing it as we speak. Like,
Thank you.
Are you kidding me?
I hope you like it. It's a lot of
Say
fun.
less.
Say less.
I'm on this.
Yep, that's it. That's me.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, you can find my the whole comic at orcgirl.com. I sell print copies as well. You can find me on Twitter or X, Amy Mercury, all one word, spelled what you see here on the screen. Instagram, the Amy Mercury, TikTok, Orc Girl Art, and you can follow along in my adventures that way.
Awesome. Can I get
I'm
your
on
info
YouTube
from
now,
Nick
too.
when we're done so I can like stalk you and stuff?
Oh
sorry,
yeah, no, I'll hook
Awesome,
you up.
awesome. Cool.
Definitely, Nico. What you know?
If you want to, come see me, you want to have a session with me, any kind of session in real life, phone, FaceTime, you name it, I do it. You can go to NiccoNoire.com and there you will find all of my official links to all of my social media, my websites. Oh, but if you're in Texas, do not go to my naughtynoir.com site because it's been banned.
What?
That's right, people. I make porn and they don't like it. And I don't care. So go to NiccoNoire.com and you can see me there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So your own website cannot even
is banned in my state that I live in.
your state. Oh,
wow, that's insane.
what a world we're living in. You might as well lock up your cock. Get 15% off all inventory. Locked in Lust.
Now you know why I fuck with the Trumps and the Bidens. I'm angry. I'm mad.
Dildos. The government will fuck you.
You'll
Let Nicco Noire use the government to fuck you with her dildos.
Need to suffer for your country, guys.
That's right. Be patriotic for me.
Can we get like a Nancy Pelosi one? Or what about like other presidents and stuff like that? You know,
say less.
Go down the
we are gonna
list.
make that shit happen.
Go down the whole list of political figures. Yeah. That's the next episode of YKF Sunday Sessions.
And I'd like to put that out there for anybody who makes, presidential or political peggers and dildos. You can go ahead to NiccoNoire.com. Contact me. I will fuck everything that moves.
It's an election year.
I love it.
It's an election year. Contact me. You can get my email address from my website, yourkinkyfriends.com. YKF,
and hit subscribe.
Yes, hit subscribe, like, and subscribe, and Spotify. Subscribe to Spotify and Patreon. There's a GoFundMe page, and of course, you get 15% off all the inventory with lockedinlust.com with offer code YKF. That's it. It's going to be a great week. Yeah.
Have a good one, everyone.
It was
Mojo
so
Jojo.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for having me on the show. I really
thank you so much for coming
in
and being so amazing.
Oh, thank you. You guys are great. I really appreciate it. And I've had a blast talking to you all tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
The pleasure is all ours. Amy, you are a legend. Thank you. A creative inspiration to all. Nico, you are magnificent. You are the magnificent Nicco Noire.
And Nicholas, you're darling and I adore you. Now go make dinner for your queen.
You are the coolest, Nick. And Nico, you are awesome. I really enjoyed it.
I'm going to get your info from Nick, and then I'm probably going to stalk you a little bit. So,
Oh, no problem.
Do what you will with that.
All right, everybody. Remember the cardinal rule. Be cool. Be kind. Keep an open mind. Take care.